Another day, another box coaching episode, and this was a hefty Friday night slate as we had hella games, Jesus Christ. We had two Game of the Year contenders so far, and let's dive into it, baby. And before we get to that, obviously, let's just get this out the way. If you enjoy basketball content, if you want to support me, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and just enjoy basketball. That's all I want from everyone here. And let's get into it. We start in Charlotte as the Hornets beat the Wizards. And the Wizards lose a game they should win if they want to make the playoffs and, not go through the play-in. Well, they probably will have to go through the play-in anyway, but if they, want to be serious in the playoffs, they should win games like these against Charlotte in Charlotte. But they didn't. They were on the back foot the whole game, it felt like. They got back into it in the fourth quarter thanks to a magnificent play from Bradley Beal, but it was not enough, and they just were catching up for far too long in this game, and they couldn't catch up in the end as Beal didn't hit the game winner, where he had an okay step back look, and a very bad loss for the Wizards, who are now under 500, even though they've been playing some solid basketball overall. 33, 6, and 7. He was really good, just, well, his defense is still such a eh, and it's just weird with him. I don't know, man. Porzingis had 21 and 11, not his greatest game. He couldn't hit a three-pointer, didn't shoot efficiently. Kyle Kuzma, 14, 4 and 3, 14 shots, 14 points, not great, right? But the bench was really good. I want to give you shout outs to Daniel Gafford, who was sensational defensively. He had 10 points, 12 rebounds, 6 blocks in 23 minutes, and when he plays like this and is, patient and doesn't play off the rails, or how do you want to say it, he is really, really good on the defensive side of the basketball. Shout out to him. Corey Kispert off the bench had 14 points, 5 rebounds. He had to start in the second quarter since Danny Avdia had to leave the game. And he had 14 points. And on the Charlotte side, they, came at it this game. They were really good. They shot really well from the three-point line, as they hit 12 of 29, which is for about 42%, 41%. Terry Rozier, 25 points on 21 shots, which is pretty much efficient for him. Also 8 assists. Kelly Oubre had 22.7 rebounds. He was really okay. 17 and 10 for Mason Plumlee. I mean, how do you allow Mason Plumlee to go for 17 and 10, right? That's crazy. And PJ Washington had 21 and 5 assists, but at the same time, the bench was sensational for them. Theo Maledon, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Nick Richard, 12 and 9 off the bench. Really good win for Charlotte. We move on to Atlanta as the Hawks win against the Nuggets, even without Trae Young. A huge win for the Hawks, as they were missing essentially 3 starters in Trae Young, DeJounte Hunter, and John Collins. DeJounte Murray gave us a little flashback of last year. He had 34 points, 8 assists, he hit 4 3-pointers, and he was sensational all night. Made the clutch buckets when they needed him to. Shout out to him. AJ Griffin has been balling out. He had 24 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals, 11 of 16 from the field. Another forward guard rookie that's been balling out. Shout out to him. Clint Capela had 12 and 10. Jalen Johnson was really good in his starter minutes, 10 and 10. Jared Culver has been a revelation for him. He had 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and he's been really good, stepped up because they needed him to. They also got Bogdan Bogdanovic back after a long, injury that he suffered last year, and he was not great, but it's a good thing to have him back for sure. And the bench was sensational. Onyeka Okongwu, Aaron Holiday, and Dweet Krejci, my fellow Czech Republican, my guy, they were really solid off the bench. Aaron Holiday had 10 points, Onyeka Okongwu had 10, 3 and 2, and Dweet Krejci had 2, 2 and 3 with that putback dunk. And just a great win for the Hawks against Nuggets, who have been really good this year. They were missing Michael Porter Jr., of course, but Jamal Murray was playing, and he was still really good. 20.7 assists. He's pretty much back to normal, I would say. He's looked really good these last few weeks. He's looking healthy and really good. Nikola Jokic had 24, 10 and 8, and he was sensational in this game. He just didn't have enough. Aaron Gordon had 14. He was kinda, a little off. You didn't notice him as much as you would like to, and well, everyone else was pretty much off. Vlatko Kankar had 12 points. He was solid. Bones Island was with 16 points, okay, but the defense was bad, and also it just felt weird game for the Nuggets. Just a rough loss for them. And we move on to Boston for one of the best games of this young NBA season. Well, young, the quarter of the NBA season already. As the Boston Celtics lose at home to the Miami Heat in a second game on 3 nights. These two played against each other, and what an effort by Miami, man! Shout out to Miami. They are fighting through every injury, everything they've been going through the early part of the season, and they fought through it. And they got Jimmy Butler back today. Tyler Hero has been back for a couple of for a week or so. Bam Adebayo has been sensational, and well, the starters all delivered pretty much, especially in that fourth quarter/overtime. They were really good. Kyle Lowry had 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He was really good. Tyler Hero might have played his best game of this season with 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Bam Adebayo had 28 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He was so good, and he's been so good these last few weeks. And I hope he keeps this up, because this is an all-star, all-NBA player in Bam if he keeps this up. Jimmy was back. He had 25 and 15, and he finished the Celtics off in that overtime. He hit that fadeaway midi that just reminded you of that game 6 in the playoffs last season, and it was special, man. Special win for Miami, good for them. On Boston's side, well, a loss had to be coming at some point. It's against one of the better teams when healthy, and it was just a rough game for Jason Tatum, who had just 14 points, 12 rebounds on 18 shots. He couldn't get anything to fall. They played better defense on him. They were covering him much better, and he also was forcing some shots to me. And then when he didn't have a rhythm, when he shot shots that were wide open, it just didn't go in because he had no rhythm in the game. They took him very well out the game. Jaylen Brown did his best to, replace the production of Tatum. He had 37 points, 14 rebounds. He was 12 of 23 from the field, and he hit that half-court three-pointer off the back, of the backboard, which was crazy shot to force OT. Other players were really good. Marcus Smart had 18 and 9. He was solid. Grant Williams had 18 off the bench. Luke Cornett and Sam Hauser were pretty much unplayable. Well, Malcolm Brogdon also. Let's not just have it on those guys, because they've been really solid. Malcolm Brogdon, who has been really good, was essentially unplayable in this game. He was really bad, and it happens, right? Everyone has bad games. Just want to point it out. He was really bad. And then we move on to Brooklyn as the Nets take care of business at home against Toronto Raptors. And funny enough for the Raptors, after they demolished the Cavs at home, they've been struggling these last couple of games. Fred VanVleet has been horrible. Scotty Barnes has been really bad. He had 79 and 3, but he turned the ball over 7 times, and his body language was bad. He also had to leave the game to the locker room for some ankle treatment. He came back and was bad, and his been bad these last couple of games. I hope they turn it around, because I really like this Toronto team, even though they crushed my heart in 2019. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. OG Anunoby had 21 and 6. Pascal Siakam 24, 7 and 4 in 32 minutes. He's been getting back to shape and working, but well, they got pretty much blown out. This game was over by the first quarter. They were up, down like 30. They got it eventually down to 10. Made it feel like a game a little bit, but it never was a game. This game was essentially over in the first quarter. Then it was just by how much the Nets would win, and the Raptors showed some fight in them at least. But yeah, it was pretty much an embarrassment in that first half. They at least made up for it in that second half, and the Nets get a easy win. KD 17, 9 and 7, even though he still played 38 minutes for some reason. Kyrie played almost 40 minutes for some reason, 27, 5 and 5. He closed it out essentially in that fourth quarter. Even I don't know. I don't unlike this strategy from the Nets, but I suppose if they get hurt, they get hurt, right? I don't know. Joe Harris 17, 5 and 4. I've been really critical of Joe Harris, and he's been sensational these last 3 games. Last week he's been performing so well, which is huge for the Nets, even though I can't trust him, because we all know what happened the last time he was in the playoffs. But it's good to see. Nick Claxton, 15 and 9, 3 blocks. He was so good today. TJ Warren came back also. He had 10 points in his return to action in like a year and a half, right? Or how long was it? It's been a long time since we've seen him in an NBA game. He was 5 of 11, 10 points, 4 rebounds. Solid, start to his Brooklyn career, and they get an easy win. Then we move on to Cleveland, as the Cavs are one of the best home teams in the league. They are now 15 and 8 after beating the Orlando Magic at home. They got Kevin Love back, which is really huge for them because they need more sparks off the bench, and he was sensational today with 11 and 11 in his 22 minutes. Great game from him. Donovan Mitchell, 34 points. He shot the lights out again. Darius Garland, 18 and 6. He was not his best game today. Evan Mobley, 19 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And what a player he is, man. I love to watch Evan Mobley. He's so good. So good. And you're so excited for his future. One of my favorite players in the NBA already right now. And so much ahead of him. And they also got some cool bench production, at least a little bit. Nothing too special, nothing too bad. They were in control for most of the game. Almost, gave their fans a little scare in the end, in that fourth quarter, but put it away in the end. And got a pretty comfortable win over these Magic, who are bad, right? We all know. Bol didn't play that well today. He had 3 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. Paolo, 22, 5 and 4. Solid game from him. He was efficient from the field. Just one more from him on the defensive side. Moritz Wagner and Franz Wagner both with 16. Shout out to these brothers. Franz Wagner didn't shoot the ball well. Well, from the 3-point line he did, but everywhere else he didn't. And meh performance from him. Markel Fultz in his second game back had 10, 6 and 6. You love to see that. Then you had Cole Anthony, 19.6 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. You love that also. Hopefully they, as they get back healthier, they can be more competitive and, show us something more. And in the second contender for Game of the Year, the Bucks lose at home to the Lakers, who all of a sudden Anthony Davis has been balling out and they look pretty solid. And it was tiresome to talk about these Lakers, a couple of weeks back, because it was the same thing all over and over. But then AD woke up, decided to play like, the AD we all want him to be, and he was sensational, and he's been sensational. 44 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 18 of 27 nights from the field. He made 2 3-pointers, 6 of 7 from the line, and was the best player on the court against, Giannis and with LeBron. Wow, LeBron was not too shabby himself. He had 28, 8 and 11. He was, got going in that fourth quarter. Until then, he was looking kind of bleak, but in that fourth quarter, he got going, and he was so good also. Russ off the bench had 15 and 11, and they both, LeBron and Russ, had 11 assists and 0 turnovers, which is essentially what they need every time, because that's just special. That's all you need. They had 4 turnovers all game. Incredible stuff from them. That's just special. That's, a recipe to winning. And everyone else really stepped up. Troy Brown, 9 points. Lonnie Walker had 14. Wenyan Gabriel was really good in his minutes, 5 and 6. Austin Reeves had 7, 2 and 2 in his 32 minutes. And they get much needed production. They're probably still one player away to be taken really, something serious-ish. But they're on the right track, and with these improved performances, there could be something brewing in LA right now. For the Bucks, it's nothing that serious. They are playing catch up with the Celtics right now, and they've been pretty inconsistent these last 10 games. They've not been as good as during the start of the season when they were 9-0, and Giannis had a good game also. He was 40 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 block. That block on LeBron was just wow, incredible. It was special, man. That got me out my seat. That fourth quarter in and of itself was just so special. There were so many great plays, so many highlight plays that were special, man. That was just pure basketball here, right here, man. Giannis, 16 of 23, 8 of 11 from the free throw line. There was this, moment with Russ on the free throw line. That was something. And, well, the silver lining for the Bucks, of course. I can't believe I didn't even say it already. They got Chris Middleton back after, he has not played since last year's playoffs, which is about a half a year. And he was pretty solid, even though in that fourth quarter he was really bad and he was really sloppy in that fourth quarter. But the rust is there, of course, and he was still 17 2 and 7, 6 of 11 from the field, and really good, and really promising in his return. Brook Lopez, 13-7 and 3 blocks. He was solid, but it felt like they were, running around with those pick and rolls around the Bucks. The Lakers were, of course. And Jrue Holiday was special, 28, 6 and 9. He was really good in this game. Bobby Portis off the bench, 15 and 10. Solid game from him, but everyone else off the bench was really bad and really not trustworthy. And you need something else off the bench than Bobby Portis, right? Pat Connaughton was okay, but not good. And you need something other than Bobby Portis that is good off the bench, and nothing was working right now for the Bucks. And we move on to Memphis, where the Grizzlies took care of business against the 76ers and win 6 games in the row at home against the Sixers, and are now 13 and 9. And this game was not too shabby in it of itself when I was rewatching it, but it didn't compare to these 2 game of the years, and it was an okay game. The Grizzlies were in control for most of the game, then let the Sixers get back into it in that fourth quarter. It was tight, but they got it done in the end. Ja Morant had 28 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, but he was not that good today. He was just 10 of 28 from the field, and he took some dumb shots, had some weird plays in there, but it didn't matter. The bench was sensational. Santi Aldama with 13, David Roddy with 7, Tyus Jones with 3 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, Brandon Clark with 10 points and 4 rebounds. Santi Aldama also had 3 blocks, 5 rebounds and 3 assists in addition to his 13 points. And the bench was so good today. Jaren Jackson Jr. was also really good with 22 and 9. He's been so good in his return. 4 blocks also. Dylan Brooks, 17 points on 16 shots, as efficient as you will get from him, and he was fine and really good in the end. And he's so good defensively that you have to take these offensive nights you just have to take from him every time. And Steven Adams had 16 boards, and in the third quarter, when the Sixers were trying to make a comeback in the third quarter already, he had key rebounds and key sequences that led the Grizzlies back into a huge lead in that third quarter until they let the Sixers get back into it in that fourth quarter, I'm sorry. And a good overall performance for Memphis. Still struggling a little bit without Desmond Bane, and Ja has not been as great as we all want him to be, or we think he should be as of right now. I don't know how to frame it. Everyone painted him in that MVP conversation, and he's clearly nowhere near it right now. Nowhere near it right now. But he's been good, not MVP level good. You know what I'm saying? On the Sixers side, the defense wasn't as good as it has been these last couple of weeks. But it feels like the injuries are kind of catching up to them. They are missing other scorers. Tobias Harris was fine, 21 and 11. Joel Embiid had 35, 11 and 8. He was really good. But outside of that, it was really inefficient and just unreliable. DeAnthony Melton has not been efficient or reliable offensively this year so far. He had 13, 6 and 4. He's been good in other assets, but we need him to, not we. What the hell we? The Sixers need him to shoot a little better. Shake Milton, 17 and 5. Really bad defensively and not efficient offensively enough to be a plus today. And the bench was really bad today. No one played good off the bench today, and it really killed the game for the Sixers. We move on to San Antonio, Texas, baby. Jacob DeGrant to the Rangers. Well, that's for another channel or another video. The Pelicans take care of business as they beat the Spurs and are now 14 and 8. And the Zion show continues. Zion has been so good these last few games, and I keep saying these last few games, but it's so true. He's been so good, man. 30 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 9 of 14 from the field, 12 of 13 from the free throw line, plus 28 on the night. His defense has been looking much better, and he's so good. Even with struggling CJ McCollum, with no Brandon Ingram, he's been so sensational. Shout out Jose Alvarado today. He was sensational. Also 15 points, 5 assists, 2 steals. Trey Murphy, 17 points, 5 of 12 from the 3-point line. He's been solid as well. Jonas Valanciunas in his minutes, 21 and 11. Really great production in 25 minutes, right? And just overall, everyone played really solid except for Dyson Daniels, who got the start today. And he was not great, but he's a rookie. Much needed experience for him. So I would say this is a perfect game for the Pelicans. They got the win, they got the rookie, some much needed experience, and they keep going with Zion playing his best basketball. On the Spurs side, this is nasty stuff, right? Devin Vassell, still really good, 25, 4 and 3, but it's just so bad on the Spurs side. They were missing Jakob Poeltl also, which doesn't help their case, right? And, well, it's just let these guys chuck and hopefully they improve. Keldon Johnson, man, last 10 games he's shooting like 41%, true shooting percentage, which is crazy, like crazy. The 7 of 23 stat line, it feels like I've seen it like 5 times in this last 10 games. Such a bad performances from him. They're well in that Wembanyama tank race, and hopefully they, keep playing like this, I suppose, because it's nasty, and it's probably perfect for Wembanyama. Now we move on to Arizona, where the Suns got surprised by the Rockets as they beat the Suns. And what a great game from the Rockets. They kept going at it, they kept at it, and they won. They got to the line 43 times, which is crazy. They were getting to the line all game. Jalen Green, 12 of 16 from the free throw line. Kevin Porter had 8 of 9 from the free throw line. Eric Gordon was 5 of 6. A lot of free throws were in this game, a lot of stoppages, but a great win for the Rockets. All starters in double figures. Jalen Green had 30, even though it was an inefficient night overall. He was solid and he, made those free throws when needed. And that ending was weird because he missed a free throw right there in the clutch. Then the Suns missed a 3-pointer. There was a weird rebound and Kevin Porter Jr. threw it to DeAndre Ayton or somebody, and Booker missed the game winner. So it's weird, very weird game. Not the game, the ending was very weird. I'm sorry. A lot of chaotic energy in this ending. Bruno Fernando, 14 and 7, plus 15 in his 13 minutes. Shout out to him. What a game. Bruno Fernando, the legend himself. And yeah, great win. Jabari Smith, 17 and 6. 7 of 12 from the field. You love to see him, building up on the better performances. Shout out to the Rockets on beating the Suns, who were really good, but the bench was bad today. The starters did their job, but the bench just blew it and didn't play good enough defense. And yeah, the productivity was not there also. Devin Booker, 41, 4 and 8, back-to-back great games from Book. 20 and 12 from Campaign, who was sensational. DeAndre Ayton had 8 and 6 and 5 turnovers. He was not great today. He had some early foul trouble and also just turned the ball over a little too much. One of those games from Ayton just is always, you're like, how does this happen, right? But it does happen, I suppose. Mikal Bridges, 22 and 8. He was solid. Didn't feel his impact as much, but he was solid. Well, I didn't feel anyone's impact as much because the game was stopped so much, right? There were so many stoppages due to free throws, and well, the free throw discrepancy is crazy, right? 19 free throws to 43 free throws. Insane number. They made just 8 threes. Crazy. Next up, we moved to the mountains, to Utah, as the Jazz beat the Pacers at home. And my frisky Pacers on the road trip that I was talking about, that if they can, hold it there and be good, they should be counted as a playoff team, and they've been horrible. Except that Lakers game where they won, they've been so bad on the road right here in this road trip. No one played really well. Andrew Nembhard had 13 and 10. I guess a solid game from him. Tyrese, just 14 points on 16 shots. 4 assists, bad game from him. Benedict Mathurin, bad game from him. I don't want to be negative. They just didn't play great. And the Jazz played really good. Lauri Markkanen, 24 and 13. Shout out to him. He's so good. Malik Beasley had 16 off the bench. Colin Sexton, 18 points, 5 assists. Solid game. And Jordan Clarkson had 19 and 3. He was solid. Kelly Olynyk, 10 points. Walker Kessler had 20 and 11 off the bench. Shout out to the Rook. Great win for the Jazz. And we move on to my Warriors as they over 5. We move on to the last game, which was my Warriors against the Bulls as they move over 500 and win at home again. And it what felt like was gonna be an easy win. The Warriors managed to make it really rough on themselves, and they were bailed out by a Draymond Green three-pointer. And he has been shooting really well at home from the three-point line. He's at like 47%, obviously on a very small sample size, but it has been at almost 50%, and he was sensational today. He had 13 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 blocks, and a great game from him. The Splash Bros kinda struggled. 26 from Clay. He played really well, except that fourth quarter where he was kinda hunting, but otherwise he was really good. Steph, on the other hand, turned the ball over too much and was really weird today. He still gets 19, 11, and 6. And he still shot 50% from the three-point line, which is not bad, but it was just not the Steph game you want. Andrew Wiggins had just 10 shots, and he had 12 points, which was kinda, represented, which was kinda due to Jordan Poole going off, and he had 11 of 18, 7 of 13 from the three-point line, 30 points. He was solid, but in that fourth quarter, he was also kind of weird. And just a weird energy game and an ugly win for my Warriors, but a win is a win nonetheless, right? And for the Bulls, they were bad, except for Nikola Vucevic, who was really solid on the offensive side, and everyone else was pretty bad. I'm sad for Alex Caruso, who's the only player there who kind of wants to defend, and well, nobody else really defends, right? And it's just rough for him. Shout out to Goran Dragic, he was sensational. He brought energy and brought the Bulls back into the game in that fourth quarter. He had 14 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists off the bench in 23 minutes. But the Bulls need to blow it up. They need to just trade somebody. They just need to get something, because this is just not going anywhere. And that about does it for today, right? All games, 2 game of the year contenders, some really solid, close games, some upsets, some fun games nonetheless. And those 2 games were special, man. The Celtics against the Heat and the Bucks against the Lakers, that were special games. We have the Mavs at Madison Square Garden against the Knicks, which should be a fun one. Kings Clippers should be a fun one also, even though Kawhi and PG probably won't play. They are on their way back again. Hopefully this time for longer sample size than 2 games, right? Bucks bounce back against the Hornets, hopefully. Raptors Magic will be a mid-fest right now. Timberwolves Thunder should be a good one if Shea plays. Warriors on the back-to-back against the Rockets might be a good one, and the Jazz against the Blazers. Some solid games. I'm not expecting much from today's slate. Can't wait to my Warriors if Steph and everyone plays. And some solid games. I'll be here to cover them all. You already know, baby. A lot of games, a lot of energy in this game.